So my friends requested a being black and a being LGBT in Japan, but like as a black person who's also in the LGBT, like I don't know if I can like separate those two identities, but from like I guess from an objective perspective, like I'll try to like separate the two of how like I feel that other people view me and how like I feel like I'm treated individually, and then after that I'll go into like how like it is being LGBT in Japan, like not just as a foreigner, but like as a person in Japan. Okay, let's go. First, being black in Japan. But this video specifically is being black in the Inaka, which is countryside. All I have to say is being black in Japan is motherfucking lit. Let me stop. It's so much fun being black in Japan because like you're not judged for being black. You're just a foreigner to them here. So there's no type of discrimination. Like there's no like being followed by the police or being stopped by the police for dumbass reasons. There's no being followed in stores. There's no like all these crazy ass thoughts about you just for being black. I mean, sometimes like people might assume that you're good at sports because you're black, but like that's like the extent. Nobody assumes that you're inferior, that you're unintelligent. Like I've never run into those issues. I've never felt that I was like beneath anyone else. And I guess it's because like Japan just doesn't have a history of like discriminating against black people or like people in general for the color of their skin. Like that just doesn't make any sense here. So I really like that aspect about Japan because like I feel free for once in my life. Like I don't just see myself as, oh, like I'm a black person. I see myself as Ashley first. And then any other like ways to describe me afterwards. So being in Japan is lit. That's all I got to say. Being black in Japan is amazing. Please come. Don't be afraid. Oh, people aren't gonna like me because I'm black, because it's not the case. Like even if you're like a darker pigment, like people aren't gonna treat you badly. Like they're not sure how to deal with you or whatever. Or they've never seen someone like you before. But once they talk to you and get to know you, like everything is smooth sailing after that. Like I go to school with all different types of hairstyles. I had like afros, I've had braids, I've had dreads, I've had like all different types of styles, and like nobody really said anything about it. Like there was no policing of how I should have my hair, whether my hair was professional or not. Like none of that stress. So being a trans is amazing. If you're black and you're thinking about coming to Japan, please do. Like even if it's just to visit and not to live, I think you will have a great experience. You're gonna have a good time. Like your experience is what you make it. So if you come here with good energy, like the good energy will come back to you. Please come. Okay, me being LGBT in Japan, particularly non-binary, like for Japanese people, I think they had a hard time dealing with me because they're really strict and like the binaries, like you're either man or you're woman. Like they're really strict when it comes to those concepts. So when I came to Japan and I'm like this huge 5'11", huge bodied, shaved head, nose piercing person, like I don't know, like they just didn't know where to place me. If they didn't work with me, they didn't know that like my sex was female. Like they had no clue. And like a lot of people would like immediately assume I was a man because of my stature and because of the way my hair was, because like women here don't cut their hair that short or like shave. Like that's just rare. Like you would, the chance of you saying it is like 0.01% probably. Like I've yet to see a woman with a shaved head in Japan, like ever. So I think like Japanese people had a hard time like placing me, and that like kind of frustrated them. But at the same time, like in my school environment, like once like they knew that my sex was female, then they treated me like a female. Like they never had any issues with it. They just talked to me like a normal person. But outside of school, I think that's where I had more trouble. Like when it came to dating, like on dating apps, I would be asked often if I was a man or a woman, despite me having like huge tits, and even in person, like men and women would confuse me for a man. So it's kind of frustrating on that aspect because like in America, it was like the complete opposite. Like my sex was like a given. Like people saw tits, they're like, woman automatically. But here people see height and my shaved head and they're like, oh, that's a man. That's a man. But yeah, so to me it was like an interesting yet confusing experience because all my life, like, I've been put in this box as female, but all of a sudden I come to a different country and now I'm put in this box as man. So it's equally frustrating because, like, in America I'm like trying to escape this box of femininity, and then here I'm trying to escape this box of masculinity. But then at the end of the day, like, it came to me like, literally, what your body looks like does not matter here. Like, it's all the matters on like what their standards of what masculinity and femininity is. Like, oh my god. So it actually helped me like understand myself better, because I'm not sure a lot of my friends were aware that I was struggling with my identity. Like, I always hated my breasts because, like, me as a non-binary person, I figured I had to look and present a certain way or I wasn't non-binary. And like, since I had these huge like G tits or like J tits at the time, like, that was keeping me from looking non-binary. It's keeping me from looking like keeping me from identifying as either male, like, not, neither male or female, and that was frustrating me. So like, I was really contemplating getting like my breasts removed for a long time, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of my friends were aware of this, or I might have mentioned it in like some point during my like depressive or anxiety episodes. But yeah, but coming to Japan really helped me change that mindset. Like, it showed me that even if I did have these tits, like, that doesn't mean I'm any less feminine or any more or any less masculine, if you like know what I mean. So Japan really helped me fit into my non-binary identity, even with pronouns. Like, yes, Japan has pronouns for he, him, she, her, they, them, but like, I don't think they, them are used like at all. But they rarely use pronouns in general. Like, when they're talking to you or talking about you, they always use your name. Like, it's rare that they use like a pronoun to describe you. And that really helped me too, because like, I always had difficulty choosing like what pronouns felt comfortable, and like, at the end of the day, none of them ever felt comfortable. Like, even the they, them pronouns didn't feel comfortable with me. It didn't quite fit. So coming to Japan helped me fit in and feel like better about myself for the first time in my life. So I would like to thank Japan for that. However, on the flip side of being LGBT in Japan, like, as a Japanese person or as anybody else, like, I'm not sure like they would feel as comfortable as I feel, because if you're not like a huge giant person like I am, like, the way you're treated and the way like you're placed in Japanese society would be different. And even the laws here are like anti-LGBT. Like, the Constitution of Japan states that marriage is between a male and a female, or a man and a woman. So like, it's really hard to get new laws passed that allow like LGBT people to get married. And I don't think a lot of Japanese people are aware that LGBT people even exist here, or if they do, if they are aware of LGBT people, they don't quite understand, and they think like the number is really small and insignificant. So knowing that, it's like they don't have much exposure, and even if they are friends with a gay person, they probably wouldn't know, because I don't think a gay person or a person of the LGBT community would like out themselves, because here, like, especially if you're Japanese, it's hard to be LGBT, because like, it can affect your work, because sometimes companies will discriminate if they find out that you're like gay or lesbian. They can't straight up fire you, but they'll do things in order to make you feel like you can't be there anymore, or make you feel unsafe. So that really sucks. Like, I wish that Japan was more open when it comes to that aspect. But however, lately, like, Japan is being better when it comes to the LGBT community. They're working on different like legislation to allow LGBT partnerships, like lesbian gay couples, to get married, or like not married per se, but like allows them to be recognized as family, so they're able to go to the hospital with their partner or whatever, or able to like live in the same apartment. Because like, there's also discrimination that doesn't allow people of the same sex to live with each other in the same apartments, which also is some bullshit. So while like living in Japan is safe, like, you won't get killed or anything for being LGBT, it's like uncomfortable because there are different like laws set up to work against you. But like I said, like places like Kyoto are working on partnership laws that allow same-sex couples to have some type of protection. But Japan still has a long way to go. I don't think a lot of places are like that open yet. I hope they get there someday, but right now they're just not there. But yeah, it depends. Cause like if you look at America, yeah, America has laws now to protect people of the LGBT community, but even with the legislation, many LGBT people were getting killed every day, especially trans females of color, trans women of color. So like despite this legislation, like how good is it if it's not protecting the people it needs to protect? So that's where I have like I don't know, that's where it gets complex because yeah, I'm happy that America is like further ahead when for legislation that comes to LGBT people, but at the same time, like people aren't being protected. Versus in Japan, like Japan's religion doesn't hate LGBT people. It's nowhere in like their religion that says like LGBT people are bad. So Japanese people don't have like a negative stigma or anything when it comes to LGBT people. It's just that they lack understanding and they're like strict about the rules. Like they don't know how to like change the rules. So why they don't particularly hate LGBT people is since it's written in the Japanese constitution, they're like, that's the way it should be because it's written in the constitution and we're not going to like deter from that. So to sum up the video, what's it like being LGBT in Japan? For me, it's easy because I feel safe and I don't feel like I have to choose a side all the time. But for other LGBT people, I feel like it's difficult, especially if you value legislation over safety, because like it's going to take a while for Japanese legislation to get to the point where it allows for marriage between people of the same sex. However, even though legislation is slow, I think people's hearts are faster because I know several people who are gay or lesbian who have like met someone and like that their partners' families are super accepting and they never had any negativity on that end. So in a way, can you live and be happy in Japan? Yes, you can, but like you might come through some difficulty when it comes to living together. And if you really did want to get married, like or like have a partnership, well, not get married because it's not legal yet, but if you did want to have a partnership, you would have to move to specific areas of Japan that are currently allowing that. It's not nationwide yet. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Japan's great, but like it still has a long way to go when it comes to the LGBT community. Oh yeah, and I forgot one additional thing. When it comes to trans people, like trans people have way more visibility in Japan than lesbians, gays, or bisexuals because they actually appear on TV, but it's a good and a negative thing for me because I'm glad like people are getting exposure to trans people and those trans people on these shows are like doing what they want to do and they're making money being their like authentic selves. But at the same time, I think a lot of people think it's funny. Like they see it as comedy. They don't think it's real. And that's frustrated me because like when children and when grown-ups watch these TV shows, they think it's all funny. They like, ha ha ha, this person has like fake boobs, this person's wearing a wig. Oh, that's a man in a dress, blah blah bullshit. So that's like frustrating to me. I wish they wouldn't make fun of people in that aspect, but like at the same time, like at least they're allowing trans people to have jobs in entertainment and doing what they want to do. So it's like a mixed bag. Shit's complex, guys. I wish I could give like a easier, straightforward answer, but yeah, that's all I had to say. See you.